Hello, hello. This is a little bit of a different sort of video than what I have filmed since I started this channel, but it's something that's super important to me. And I wanted to do a video on it because I always knew that once I lost weight and got healthy, I would want to impart my learnings on other people. So this is going to be 5-ish things that I did, mind games, mental tricks, strategies, whatever you want to call them, to lose weight. I, in total, over the last 6 years, have lost around 170 pounds. I'm not going to going too much into that in this video. This is more about things that I did that are, from my perspective, were a little non-traditional that did really help me lose weight. Hi. I forgot to do a disclaimer at the beginning, so now I'm doing one at the end. So apologies, I look like so oily, all that good stuff. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a registered dietitian. I'm not a registered nutritionist. I'm not a registered anything. I'm not registered with anything. Nothing. I'm a person who lost about 170 pounds. And when I started that journey, I was in a program that I met every week, and we talked about untangling my unhealthy relationship with food and my emotions. And these are the things that I learned. I am only offering personal learnings and lived experience. This is not prescriptive. This is not intended to be a guide. This is something that I wish I would have seen on the internet when I was looking to lose weight. If you are in need of a medical professional, if you are in need of more regimented support, I highly encourage you to talk to your general practitioner or any sort of resource that you can that is someone who is approved to give advice. So I'm not giving advice. I am merely sharing an experience and offering what I have learned. All right, well, the first thing on my list down here is these bad boys. I have this due in a second. These will change your life. I got these toddler plates from Whole Foods years ago. And I sort of hilariously had someone in my life who had twins, and I posted or talked about these plates, and they were like, my kids use the same plates. But these are incredible for learning portion sizes. So in a little bit, I'll talk about the scale, but when I first started out, I did not have the discipline for the scale. And I totally think that there is a level of discipline to weighing your food. I was not there yet. I could do this. So this was the protein, and then a carb, and then vegetable or a fruit or something. So a little sandwich with some rice cakes and a cutie or some grapes. It's truly so simple. It's so easy. And it really changed the game for me. I still use these 6 years later. I still will eat lunch and dinner on these. They're just really great for being mindful of how much food you're eating. But I would say the most important thing is you actually still get a ton of food. This is an entire chicken breast will fit here. We're not talking itsy bitsy little bites. I can put a whole chicken breast right here. And this can hold probably a little more than 1/3 of a cup inside of it. So if I did rice or something. And it wasn't even that I was changing what I was eating. It was just the food had to fit in here. And that was a huge sort of game changer. All right, we're back. I ran out of storage and had to get a different memory card. And now I have a guest. So I was just talking about these. So what's sort of semi-related, there's no food in here. What's semi-related is kids' meals. And I totally understand that some people might feel like that's not fair to restaurants and companies to order kids' meals as an adult. You should be paying adult prices. I totally understand that. However, I think that McDonald's, for instance, will survive if an adult orders a kid's meal. And I do this at a lot of places, but it has taken me quite a bit of time to get the courage to ask for it sometimes, because I totally recognize that sometimes it's unfair. I have said, can I say the kids meal? And they're wishy-washy on it. I'm I'll pay full price. I'll pay for an entree. I'll pay $18, but I don't want all of that food. And the most pushback I've gotten is oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that. And then they're oh, we can give you the whole entree, but we can put half of it in a to-go box. So we'll only serve you half the food. And again, those things are up for negotiation. You may not think that they are, but they are. So I do order kids meals. Like if you are in a bind, not even in a bind, let's be real. An overwhelming majority of people who go on diets are not able to live in this black and white world. I absolutely have people in my life who are like, I'm on a diet and I'm not eating fast food and that is that and it's done. I was never like that. That's why I was morbidly obese. And I would talk to nutritionists and dietitians who would be like, well, just don't go to Taco Bell. Don't go to Carl's Jr. Just don't go. And it's like, well, lady or man, if I could just not go, I wouldn't be meeting with you, would I? It's a little crass, I guess, but the sort of sentiment was like, I live in reality. Sometimes you're in a bind, sometimes you have a craving, so on and so forth. And instead of indulging, let's say I have a craving for a burger. Instead of indulging in a Baconator from Wendy's, why not get a kid's meal with a burger and fries and like a juice? For me personally, and these are strategies that worked for me, it doesn't mean they'll work for you. I'm just offering them to the internet. What worked for me was like my brain just wanted a couple bites of the thing. And instead of keeping myself from having the thing, the kids meal was the perfect, you get a little bit and not too much where you're going to completely derail the progress that you've made to your health goals. So my biggest recommendation is like if you're at somewhere like Pizza Hut, is get the personal pan pizza. Even if you were to order two personal, not the personal, like the kid ones, the little ones. If you were to order two of these, it is still going to be less than ordering a medium pizza, right? Or it's going to be very similar, but your mind is going to be less likely to be able to eat both of the pizzas. And I say all of this as that's something that I would have done. I would have ordered a medium pizza and eaten the entire thing myself. Now I'll just order the one because my brain, the craving, the urge to eat the salty, sweet meat, whatever it is, it goes away after like 5 to 10 bites. Honestly, sometimes I won't even finish the food that I've been craving because it's about the brain. And that sort of goes into the later recommendations I have, but these two primary ones are toddler plates. Doesn't have to be fancy, toddler plates, and ordering on kids meals where it makes sense. I'm not saying to short mom and pop like restaurants out for money. I'm saying where it makes sense for you, where it makes sense for the company and the business to ask for a kids meal, ask for a kids menu. And for the most part, I don't get a lot of pushback. If I do, I just explain, I'm trying to, do with my diet. And I don't really get a lot of pushback, but I totally recognize that that can be hard and scary. And sometimes the easiest place to do it can be at a fast food or a semi-fast food, like a Subway or something where you're sort of in and out. So those are my two, like the first two, but they're kind of lumped together of like rethink portion size. And unfortunately in the US, a toddler or young child portion of food is sufficient for most adults in the US. And I know that that can be really jarring, especially if you're a parent watching this, but this could be enough food for most people. And so just sort of like recenter what a portion looks like. And I think this is a really great first step in thinking about how big your portions are. That's not as comprehensive, time consuming as weighing your food. So the next ones are all like intangibles. So the next one I have is negotiating with yourself. So I learned this in this group like that I attended for people who struggled with a healthy relationship with food. And what they really talked about that resonated with me was negotiating with yourself. So they went behind like the science of cravings and all of that. And I admittedly do not remember all of that. But what I do remember is that a craving only lasts for like a short amount of time. I don't remember the exact number, but let's say like 10 minutes. If you can ride out that craving for 10 minutes, and you showcase that discipline, like your body and mind will sometimes let the craving go. Not every time, which is where this negotiation comes in. So let's say, in theory, I am craving Cold Stone Creamery. I love a birthday cake remix. And so you're craving that. Okay, first line of defense that I typically use. Okay, let me finish my water bottle. Let me drink the rest of my water bottle. If I'm still wanting Cold Stone after that, we'll see where I am. forces me to drink the water bottle, and I can't like chug it all at once because it's quite cold. So it takes me a couple of minutes. The counter is on. I'm working against this craving that I'm having. Okay, I finished the water. Okay, well, I really need to take the dog out to go to the bathroom. So I'm gonna go do that. And if I still want the Cold Stone, then I'll go. And then I take the dog out and the timer is still going, and the timer is still going. And then my sort of last line of defense is finding out if I'm hungry or I'm bored. And I keep some sort of food that's healthy in my refrigerator or pantry at all times, like carrots, and tell myself, okay, I took the dog out to the bathroom. She's good to go. Okay, well, if I'm really, really wanting Cold Stone, I should probably eat something that is a little better for me first. Let me sit down and eat these carrots. If I don't want to eat the carrots, I'm not actually hungry. I'm just craving something. If I eat the carrots and it's like, okay, I have been negotiating with myself for 10 to 15 minutes. If I really want that Cold Stone, I do allow myself to have it. But through my experience, if I am able to stave off indulging in a craving for 10, 15 minutes, it will go away. And I didn't even understand the concept of negotiating with myself. I just thought like my brain tells me what it wants and then I do that. You do not have to do that. You don't. You can tell yourself, man, I really, really want Taco Bell. Okay, well, let's go through some negotiations. Do we have ground beef at home? Could we eat tacos at home? Oh, you're not craving tacos, you're craving Taco Bell. Okay, well, let's walk back from that. Okay, make sure you drink all of your water, make sure you're hydrated. And then if you're at Taco Bell, if you usually get 4 tacos, let's negotiate ourselves down to 2. Every food decision that you make can be a negotiation with yourself. Do not just do what your mind wants if it's not in line with larger goals that you have. That it was a game changer for me. And when people ask me like, how'd you lose weight? I do get like not a lot of questions, but I've gotten questions in my personal life. I will talk about this concept of negotiating with yourself and riding out cravings. And I highly recommend people to look into this as a tactic. It helps rebuild your relationship with yourself, which I think was an unintended, well, at the time, an unknown or unintended benefit to me. And what I mean when I say that, what I mean to say is when I started to build the ability to tell myself no and hold myself internally accountable. No one knows, no one hears this going on. I'm not like looking to my dog and saying, I have to finish my water bottle first. Nobody knows. When I was able to start proving to myself that my word to myself meant something, it got easier. It got a lot easier. And it wasn't just food. It was, I told this person that I'm going to this event so that I will be there because my word matters to me and others. And I didn't think that I was going to build that skill from negotiating with myself with food. But then I felt it spilling over into other places in my life. But at the core of it, I've learned to negotiate. And I've learned to not indulge the moment that I want something. It's okay to indulge. It's okay to crave things. It's okay to want things. Those are all fine. But it is the fact that I put some hurdles up in my mind to really force myself to take care of myself and decide if I really want that thing. And like I mentioned, by and large, at the end of the 10, 15 minutes, I have decreased the cravings significantly. And I go from having the DoorDash app open on my phone to up and out and filling the water bottle and taking the dog out. And I take myself out of that space where I'm vulnerable to this craving. And I have a stronger sense of discipline, because at the end of the day, I'm sure you've heard it all before that motivation does not last forever, but discipline does. This for me was the game-changing way for me to build discipline with myself. The next thing I would say is like a mind game or strategy to avoid not eating what you are intending to eat. I don't like super subscribe to this idea of like on track and off track. You have foods that you intend to eat and you have foods that you don't intend to eat. I focused on decreasing the amount of foods that I did not intend to eat and increasing the amount of foods that I did intend to eat, and just kept it a lot more neutral. And the sort of learning with this strategy is don't put yourself in a state of failure. I'll give an example. If you know that you're going to the movies, do not drink water not eat healthy, not go out and get some movement, because you're setting yourself up for failure. If you are struggling with overeating, going to the movie theater is a place where overeating, like popcorn, is normalized, and you're putting yourself in a state of vulnerability. Do not put yourself in a state of failure by not keeping yourself adequately hydrated, which helps with food cravings and how much you eat, making sure you're eating protein-dense foods before you go. Maybe even telling someone, hey, don't let me buy the large popcorn, I can only have a medium. Even something as small as that is a negotiation. That counts. But you're not putting yourself in a state of failure where you're showing up to the movie theater and you haven't eaten, you haven't drank anything, and you just go off the rails. I don't love that terminology, but you go off the rails in terms of deviating from the goals that you had set for yourself and the expectations you had held for yourself. So don't put yourself in a more vulnerable situation than you already are, because in reality, eating on a diet, you live in the real world. People are going to want to go out to dinners. People have birthdays. There's anniversaries. There's happy hours with work. You are going to be put in situations that you are vulnerable in. That is fine. That's where you build that discipline. The difference is you can be in a state of vulnerability, but don't put yourself in a state of failure. Always set yourself up for success before the event or after the event. Let's say you go on a hike and you know after the hike you're going to drive by 5 fast food restaurants that you love. Set yourself up for success. Do not set yourself up for failure. Put snacks that you like in the car. It can even be a little bit unhealthier, because it's still going to be healthier than going to the fast food place. So if you want to eat 2 protein bars instead of 1, as you're driving home, getting that protein, drinking that water, that is still better. That is more of what you intend to eat and less of what you don't intend to eat. You are going to be in states of vulnerability, but you can prevent yourself from being in states of failure. So thank you so much for joining along. I know this is a little different, but I do intend on making more health-focused content because I have lost such a substantial amount of weight. I would love to talk about the sort of struggles now that I am in the maintenance phase and discuss the things that have changed for my life. Like I mentioned, the loose skin and relationships have shifted. And I do want to talk about what's like on the other side. When you get to maintenance, like what can you actually expect when you've had more of an extreme weight loss? So I'd love to talk about that. I'd love to talk about what I'm sort of like planning out in my meals. I'd love to offer whatever sort of support or knowledge that people in the comments are asking for. But I just wanted to thank all of you for getting this far in the video. This has actually been really difficult to put out into the world. I don't talk with a lot of people about some of the disordered eating behaviors and habits that I had and the like work that I went through to address them and sort of be on the other side. Most people just saw that I posted on Instagram and I looked different, you know, after years of not posting on Instagram. So this is very vulnerable for me. I'm sure that there are people that I know that are gonna find this video. All I can ask for is kindness in the comments, because this is sort of more of a personal topic. And I really hope that someone gleans something from this video that they can take forward with them to live a happier and healthier life.
Hey, it's me.